It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Declare your independence with Ernest Hancock. Yeah, Sierra wanted to put that up there. Yeah, for those in the video. Anyway, what we wanted to do this hour is just go over some of the news that's going on. I tell you one of the things that relates to our first hour with Leigh Maddox from LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, LEAP.cc, is here in Arizona. The Arizona universities are, they're not going to allow medical marijuana. Now, what it says here, Arizona universities won't permit medical pot on campus. Arizona State University, the University of Arizona, and Northern Arizona University exists due to programs provided by the federal government and will continue to be under the jurisdiction thereof, said the Director of Public Affairs for the Arizona University. Is this exactly what we're talking about? We control you with money. What's going to happen as the federal government goes, the empire goes bust, done? You know, then where's the influence going? I mean, they're going to have what's left? A gun? It'll come to that. I want to talk about. We had a meeting last night. It's called the Economic Discussion Group. You know, a lot of prominent Arizona, movers and shakers inside. Representatives of Americans for Prosperity and the Goldwater Institute, supporters of Cato, and a lot of Republicans. And I'm friends with this congressman and that kind of stuff. And I'm one of their, black sheep. But fortunately, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of other people that are in there, going, "You guys still voting?" So we have a lot of respect for each other, and we can have an enjoyable, nice time. And a lot of the people that you would think that I would even run against, you're publicly just, going after them for their compromising on fill-in-the-blank reason, you would find me oftentimes in the same room, sharing a drink with them and having a good time. Because over the years, they just, it's not them. I mean, they're, whatever you perceive as their weakness in policy or how they would want to rule somebody or whatever, or different methods by which they gradually will go into, and I have this conversation all the time. We want it to be more palatable, this freedom thing. As we're screaming, there is no palatable. Either you're free or you're not. Either you're advocating for liberty or you're not. Well, really, the big shift has been over. We've had a lot of progress, and a lot of times they're like, hey, you deal with our policy, with our initiative, with our legislation, or, you could always go the hardcore, crazy libertarian guys out here, and it makes them look more reasonable. All of a sudden, they don't seem as wild-eyed and crazy on, doing, well, we'll have medical marijuana. Well, we'll have, a little bit of marijuana is okay. Or if it's for, fill-in-the-blank reason. Or you'll have initiatives that's passed here in Arizona over the years, where, the first offense is not a criminal, it's a civil, or you just take mandatory treatment, and then we create an entire treatment industry. That's a whole other thing, which we knew would happen. So, this is the kind of rhetoric that they're coming up against is our, legalize heroin for infants. I mean, just no laws, no regular, just get done, in the drug war, done. It makes them look more moderate. If that's the only role that we can play in that, and it's not to diminish that, it's a very powerful role. What it does is it helps shift and change the culture, and it allows them to take credit for steps in the right direction while we can still remain totally uncompromising. It's a role that we relish. And it's easy. Oh, it's easy for you principled people. You don't have to really have to deal with policy. And this, I'm going, yeah, and your point? I don't want there to be a policy other than leave me alone policy. How about the, voluntarist policy? How about no coercion policy? How about having no policy? It's just leave me alone. So these kinds of, as I have, grown older, keep in mind, I was in my early 30s. I'm associating with a lot of these guys, like a lot of the people, younger crowd that we hang with today. So it's amazing how I'll go to these meetings, and you have a lot of people all of a sudden, Dr. Paul's running again. He's up there saying, there shouldn't be any federal laws against heroin. They shouldn't even be involved. There shouldn't be a drug war. So this emboldens them to be, a little more supportive of organizations like LEAP, a little more supportive of the rhetoric behind a total elimination of the prohibition. And then all of a sudden they start to see the power of the argument as you have what's happening in Mexico spilling over across our borders. And to think that we're any different is to be naive. We're just a banana republic with a tie. What's the difference? It still operates the same way for the benefit of the same people and using the same methods. It's the same. It's we rule you, and these guys get the traffic, and these guys don't. I remember when Sheriff Arpaio is big, him coming in. He's been here a long time, and he's the best poster child for no government that I know. You just stay right there, Joe. And what he did initially when he first became sheriff, now keep in mind, he was DEA, retired DEA. In Turkey and in Central South America. So, the boy had contacts, and he was definitely status quo with the man. So that's, we can go all long time about, Sheriff Joe. What he did is he came in as Maricopa County Sheriff, and he said, we're going to put a bubble over Maricopa County, my county, because I can. And we are going to inspect every single vehicle coming in and going out of Maricopa County. You want to stop this drug war thing? Got it. We're all over it. The county attorney at the time, his name was Rick Romley, and he's like, not that he's any, great defender of freedom, but he's like, there's this Constitution thing. It's going to go, so, they're doing it up on I-40, which is the horizontal highway that connects, like New Mexico to California. It runs through the top through Flagstaff in northern Arizona. As you went to the border between Arizona and California, here on the Arizona side, they were stopping people. This is back in the mid-'90s. This is not just now they got, terror warnings and all that kind of stuff. They're just stopping people, searching, saying, hey, they're doing it up there. How come I can't do it? That's a good point. Okay? So it's they shouldn't be able to do it up there, of course, is the answer. Well, the big argument back and forth that was going on, raging on at the time, do you really want to stop the flow of drugs into this county? And what are you willing to put up with to do it? And would it be effective? Well, Sheriff Arpaio was DEA. He knew what would happen. Now they're going to get in. They'll go through whatever other way, heck, airplane, ultralights. Whatever the heck it took, tunnels. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen. You can't stop it. It's desert, man. You think you can you have a problem at the border? What about here? Around the Valley of the Sun. So this was just as political posturing, but it exposed the mindset of a lot of people. They had to make a decision. Just how much police state are you willing to put up with in order to enforce some policy that you had, and how effective would that policy be? So who has been driven out of public service and who has stayed? Sheriff Arpaio's still there. Now a lot of his underlings are being prosecuted and having to quit, and indictments and lawsuits and all kind of, they're their own worst enemy, but eventually the corrupt just gets more so obvious that the entire system can't support their being there because of the illegitimacy that is reflected on them as an entire institution. Well, that's where we've gotten now. And here we have the federal government telling the Arizona State universities what they can and can't do with medical marijuana. Wow. We're near the end on this thing, I think. We'll be right back.